I think, full disclosure, I was born and raised in Oregon, and my roots are as a tree-hugging environmentalist from Oregon. That's where my roots are. And so that kind of helps you understand some of the crazy things we've done in the school district that I wonder why nobody ever advocated for doing some of these things 10, 20, 30 years ago. So what are some of the things that we've accomplished or we've actually done? Because it's wonderful to talk about, oh, wouldn't it be great if we did this or did that? And so then when I was elected in 2010 to the school board, I said, well, I'm just going to do it. And it was about building coalitions and trying to persuade other folks why this is in the best interest of the school district. Because bottom line is, almost every pro-environmental or green thing that we have done has actually benefited the school district's bottom line. And by saving money in the most difficult economic times, we're able to save teacher jobs and keep class sizes small. So what are some of the things we've done? First of all, we banned styrofoam lunch trays. So that's 15 to 18 million styrofoam lunch trays a year that do not go to landfill. Second, we're installing waterless urinals in a lot of our new construction. One waterless urinal saves anywhere from 30 to 50,000 gallons a year. And again, the water bill goes down, the school district saves your taxpayer dollars. Third, we've expanded gray water. If you go to Scripps Ranch High School right now, they have an 80,000 gallon undergrounded reservoir where we collect rainwater there, and then we use that through pumps and filter systems to irrigate all the grounds at Scripps Ranch High School. At Scripps Ranch High School also, we just opened up the first ever Green Tech Education Center. So it's not just about putting solar panels on schools and waterless urinals and using gray water at our schools, but it's now, we have 4 classrooms there, so the students have actual academic curriculum classes where they learn about green technologies, and so that we can help them become the entrepreneurs of the future. So they can go do their own green technology startup companies, or they can think of new and better ways of helping us to preserve our precious planet. Also, I am currently working on Meatless Mondays, and I know you're thinking, wait, I like my hamburgers, I like my chicken, but research shows that if we just reduce a little bit our consumption of animals, just a little bit, one day a week in all the schools, we will have a profound and enormous positive impact on energy consumption, and water consumption, and a whole bunch of, a myriad of other things that are affect the environment. Not to mention that 5 out of 5 doctors recommend it. We have got so many pediatricians that are saying this is the best thing you could possibly do for obesity rates of our children and helping our children's health. So that's really important. We advanced the San Onofre. I heard some folks talk about San Onofre and Dave Roberts and how he took a position. But we were the first governing body in San Diego County to actually pass a resolution calling for public hearings to make sure that we are 100% safe before NRC gives a green light for any level of restart at San Onofre nuclear power. We're making sure that we're fighting for open spaces. Right now there's a 12-acre parcel of land in Tierra Santa that some people in the school district, some staff members, advocated that we sell because it's just a vacant piece of land. We're never going to use it. We're never going to need to put a school there. It's just, actually it costs the school district thousands of dollars every year just for maintenance and taxes. And so they said, well, let's sell it. And then in the process, we came to learn that there was a biodiversity evaluation or study done on the property, and they didn't tell us there's an endangered species on the land. Now remember, I'm from Oregon, okay? So I put the red light on this thing as fast as I could, and now we're actually looking at a land swap with the city, working with Bob Filner and Alan Jones, because they need mitigatable land they need to preserve these kinds of lands. And so I'm really excited that we're going to be able to swap that land. And we haven't put pen to paper, but we've identified some possibilities there. I'm also working with the Green Party of San Diego County towards divesting our pension funds in fossil fuels. And the biggest thing that people think is, but it's going to cost us money. That's our pension fund. Don't touch my money. And there's some things that are kind of interesting that we've realized as we've done more and more research on it. First of all, the pension funds in the state of California are already divested in tobacco. The pension funds in the state of California are already divested in the firearm industry. After Sandy Hook, it took like, what, 72 hours? And we pulled out all of our money from those investments. Third, I've done a lot of research and found out that actually, if you're a pension fund investor, you're going to get better ROI on green companies. Because a lot of the fossil fuel companies, their stock is only going up maybe 10, 12% a year. A lot of these green tech companies, their stocks are going up 3, 4, 500% a year. So if you really care about money, then this is the right thing to do. Also, I think there was a specific study, I can't remember the exact source, but it shows that by divesting of fossil fuels, the risk factor is almost null. Because there's so many other areas where you could divest those pension funds. In terms of what are we doing to reduce consumption, the San Diego Unified School District Board of Education is incredibly right-headed in this direction, and so we've made sure that Lee Dolgoroff, the guy that's in charge of all of our facilities and new construction and remodeling our existing school buildings and structures, he is going to make sure, and he has made sure, we have won so many awards in San Diego Unified, I can't even list them here. So you have to go to the website, sandy.net. But almost every single time we build a building, we go way, way above and beyond the requirements of the state or the construction standards to make sure that they're super environmental in terms of consumption, energy efficiency, and those factors. So that's really important. I mentioned earlier a little bit about the Green Party. And being an elected official, every 4 years, thank God it's not every 2 years, every 4 years you have to come up for re-election. I'm up for re-election next year. The first organization that endorsed me for my re-election was the Green Party. And I'm a Democrat. So I think what that says is that they don't endorse you unless you have a track record, a proven track record of fighting and advocating and having success. Because it's one thing to want to do stuff, it's another thing to build coalitions, organize people, get the testimony, make the persuasive arguments, get staff on board, the superintendent on board, and then get other board members to vote in support of these crazy initiatives like banning styrofoam lunch trays. So that's really important. One other thing that we have done in the San Diego Unified School District is realizing that diesel emissions or diesel fumes coming out of the back of our school buses is one of the leading causes of childhood asthma. The irony in that we ask kids to get on and off of these school buses and the fumes spewing out of the back of them is contributing to these kids getting asthma. So what we have done is we have replaced that with biodiesel. And biodiesel has 90% less emissions. If you hold a white handkerchief up to the back of a bus with diesel, and just for a couple seconds, it's black. However, if you do the exact same thing with a bus running on biodiesel, it is still white. And I think that speaks to the value of finding alternatives. Now there's a lot of people that say, oh, biodiesel, that's just greenwashing. And I think some of you know what I mean when I say that. But still, it's better, I think, than going, better than just pure diesel, and it's better for the kids. Heaven forbid we should do something that's the best, that's right for the kids. And the last point that I'd like to talk about briefly is farm to school. We have wonderful agreements with local organic farmers, such as Susie's Farm, one of our biggest suppliers. Almost every piece of produce or fruit our kids eat in our public schools is grown locally here, organically, from Susie Farms. And the thing that's so wonderful about that is because you know you buy something in the grocery store and it says organic, but how can you be sure? The advantage of having the farms growing our food here in the county is people from our food service, they go and visit these farms all the time. So we know it's being done correctly. And the other advantages we all are aware of is that because you're not sticking the produce on a truck and driving it all the way across the country, is saving a lot of diesel fuel and other emissions, and so that's just the right thing to do. So those are some of the things that I've accomplished in the last 3 years I've been on the school board. And that's why, but there's no way I'm done. No way.
All right.
And this is just the beginning. I've got a lot of other crazy ideas that I want to do in my second term if I'm reelected. So, questions? How am I doing on time? Yes, sir.
We're doing fine. It's 8:35. So, Greg.
I have a water question.
Sure.
The lawn, the grass that you have at your schools.
Mhm.
I'm very aware, and I met a man named Jackson at an event that was at SDSU, who has a grass seed that uses a quarter of the water that normal grass, has 12-inch deep roots, takes yada, 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 wonderful stuff.
Right.
And it's an alpha seed. Has the school district looked at putting this seed out on fields to decrease not only the mowing, because it needs only a quarter of the mowing, but a quarter of the water and no fertilizer?
I actually met a representative of that organization, and because of our ethics rules, I cannot work with potential vendors because of conflict of interest, because I'm an approving authorizer. So what I did with that individual is I directed that person to the appropriate folks in the school district for vetting. They absolutely loved the idea. They wanted to do a pilot program. But then when, it's my understanding anyway from staff, that when they wanted to go forward with the pilot program, this other individual was MIA.
Really?
Really. Because they we already had identified a couple of schools for the pilot program, yeah. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. But on the flip side of that, one of the things we are doing in the school district is we're just not putting in grass everywhere anymore.
Okay, we've got some more questions. Thank you for that. Jay Powell.
Thank you for all the initiatives, and I was really pleased to hear about diesel. Today I had my window down and just about choked to death. And this was in Chula Vista, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I teach down in South Bay. I drive back and forth, so I feel your pain
maybe
every day.
get them to do as what you're doing in
Yeah.
San Diego Unified as well. My question is around, as Kathleen mentioned, you have a lot of real estate. It's not just rooftops, and in fact, all those diesel buses are parked in a big lot over in Kearney Mesa. That lot could be covered, and I hope we're not gonna miss the parking lot coverage, because that's at least a third more of the generation capacity.
Right.
And
Well-
maybe you could even get charging stations for hybrid
Right,
buses. So
right.
you
Well,
can-
Bob Filner's not here anymore, so I'm gonna say this. You can't put solar panels on rooftops anymore. Sacramento doesn't approve it. You know, the school district has been putting solar panels on rooftops for a long time. But they just changed the regulations up in Sacramento last year, or a year before, I think, whereby if you're gonna put solar panels on the top of roofs, they want it to be a part of the actual building structure, you know? And so we can't get that approved anymore.
Is this a school
So-
architect at Sacramento?
No, you see, okay, for public buildings have to go through, at least in the school district, I'm not sure about the city, maybe they can do what they want, but typically, government agencies have to get our plans approved by the architectural agency up in Sacramento, make sure it's earthquake proof, it's safe, and meets code and all that stuff. And then after they approve it, that process takes anywhere from 9 months to a year, 6 months if you know somebody and it's an important project, like the Performing Arts Center at Patrick County High School. Anyway, and so, and then they approve it and then send it back, and then we can bid it out on an RFP or whatever, and then go with construction. But they don't approve that anymore because, you know, it's too expensive, there's wear on the roof, you can't resurface the roof if the panel's up there and stuff like that. And it's hard also, it's really hard to get up, as some of you probably know, to get on the roofs of some of these buildings to do maintenance of the panels, to clean them, wash them, and that kind of stuff. So what we've started doing about 1.5 years ago in the school district is we have converted all of our new solar into carports. I don't know if you've driven by Scripps Ranch High School lately or a couple of the other schools lately where the parking lots are now covered with these solar panel carports. And that's much, much easier to get approved up there in Sacramento. Second, it's easier for maintenance. And third, it's covering the parking lot.
I need some clarification. Excuse me, these chips are delicious. I need some clarification on that.
Sure.
You can't get solar on the rooftops of schools? Is that what you're saying?
Not anymore. Not without not without the structure being actually built into the structure of the building. Yeah.
But you can for the carport.
Why, you have to explain why. guess
I don't know.
I'm
You got to
slow.
talk to the experts up in Sacramento.
It's a state
Yeah.
Yeah, but why is the state architect requiring a structural tie-in to the building?
Yeah.
We gotta find out.
Lane's,
Yeah.
So, real quickly, just to answer that question, architecturally, the many of the architects now are looking for what is called reliability, serviceability of the building envelope. And it's lost in some cases, in many cases, when you don't rebuild the roof at the same time that you put in a new solar system. And so when the roof needs to be maintained, the solar system has to come off, and a lot of costs associated with that. So here's two things that I've heard. I talked to some people at the school district. One is, do you feel that the banks have been taking a little bit of advantage of the school district in the execution of the power purchase agreements, where they haven't been giving you a big enough upside on your savings? So that's question number one. And question number two is, has the school looked at doing dual axis tracking canopies or solar trees as a way of tracking the sun east to west and north to south in order to get more value per dollar invested? In other words, more energy per kilowatt dollar invested. Just curious about those two questions.
No. Next question. Yes, sir.
The actual real issue is the building integrated photovoltaics,
Right.
and the transition is actually to more engineered, to get the energy efficiency, you have to have more engineered buildings. And everything is rated, all the building codes are an R value, resistance to heat. The future is living buildings, and buildings that work and harvest the energy from the sun. If 80% of the energy hitting a building is in the thermal range, then you're wrong not to include an integrated thermal PV system. You push that engine
Yeah.
over 50%.
The
Any
question-
pension fund
Right.
will finance it.
Right. When we do new construction, that's an opportunity, that's an option. Our new construction buildings have a very good R rating. But when you've got a school, most of our schools are built in the 50s. We don't have the money to rebuild the schools and integrate the solar panels onto those buildings. And we've looked at retrofitting or all that kind of stuff. We just don't have that kind of money because we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of school buildings all over the city. And so what we've realized is that to get more bang for our green buck, it's much more cost effective, and we get better structural integrity if we just go the carport route. And we, like the other gentleman said about the school bus parking lot, we have lots of capacity, lots of parking lots all over the city
We do
that
have
we
Vegas.
can accommodate with the green.
It's low-hanging fruit, and it's something that's being done in Vegas already. What's missing is the financing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Nevada has different DSA requirements than California. California DSA is a whole nother universe.
Right, it is.
Yes, it is.
But
Yes, sir.
School board, what it does best is educate. Does the school board have I'll call it a monthly or weekly topic of sustainability that it can teach kids that they can take home to teach the rest of the community, so we can actually achieve a sustainable net zero community.
Right, the school board, it's against the law for the school board to dictate the curriculum. The curriculum of the state of California is dictated by Sacramento and the California Department of Education. So what is taught in the classrooms has to be what is directed, or the curriculum content standards from Sacramento. What the school board can do, though, is we can tie in things to the content standards. For example, when I first got on the school board, I went around and visited a bunch of elementary schools and other schools in my sub-district B. And I noticed 2 or 3 of them had school gardens, where like all the first graders had a garden, all the second graders had a garden, and they were organic, and some of them would harvest those gardens, and the kids would get to eat them in their salad bar, you know, over a period of a few days. And so that was a great way to tie in some of the curriculum standards for those grade levels. And so then, if you walk around all the elementary schools in Sub-District B, every single school now has a school garden. And that's part of the initiative that we can do, that we can have an impact on helping to make sure that teachers and schools are helping students learn about that. We have a big fundraiser. A lot of schools have our e-waste recycling and other things like that. We are also trying to really push into all the schools a greater understanding through Meatless Mondays and through other programs like that, the health benefits of changing your diet, and also understanding the repercussions in the environment in reducing consumption of meat, even if it's just a little bit. You can still be an omnivore, but just, everything in moderation.
So the energy and water use, material use, can that be connected to, I'll call it the science and biology aspects of curriculum?
Yes, it could be. Yeah.
So it's a matter of creative design then.
Right. But a lot of it is also, you want to be very sensitive, because the teachers have, teaching is an art, and so you don't want to top down from the ivory tower tell everybody what you have to do and how you have to do it. Because then you start interfering with the other elements and things that are essential to student learning and helping them prepare to be successful. But not to discredit your point. Your point is that, we need to make sure that kids are learning about these kinds of ideas and issues as well. And to that extent, I'm confident in saying that that is happening and that is occurring regularly in almost every single school. I can't imagine a single school that doesn't talk about or incorporate that in their curriculum, especially with the recent data and the climate change issues that are going on with global warming and then freak storms, and why is it snowing in Kansas in May, and all these other things that are happening to our climate.
Okay.
Great, so let's take one more question for Vice President Biden.
For a few of the things that are at the top of your agenda, things that you'd like to achieve, do you see the obstacles as being political or technological? And how can the people in this room, or people in general, help you to remove some of those obstacles?
Well, in terms of just the school district, I think that there are, that we have a very progressive board. And so I think it's easier. You still got to do a little bit of, even progressive Democrats, even Democrats sometimes still need some arm twisting. This Meatless Monday idea. My initial read is it's not going to pass when I bring it up next month for approval, unless I do a lot more organizing and a lot more grassroots campaigning and a lot more, letters of support and those kinds of things. And to the extent that you guys could all come down to the June 4th school board meeting at 5 p.m., I don't know, how many people are from San Diego? Raise your hand. Okay, so to the extent that you could send an email to the other progressive school board members to push them to do the right thing. There's so much pushback on divesting fossil fuels in the pension fund. We took that to the teachers. The executive board of the teachers approved it. When it went to the rep council, they tabled it, it's dead. So we've got to, re-articulate the message and get that back. I think what Bob Filner said earlier was really what we all need. We need, as you had suggested, a green summit to come up with a general vision for the county and the state, a vision articulating some goals, so that we then can all take that back to our respective governing boards for approval. And there's two different pieces here. First of all, there's approval of the vision or the resolution that this is the direction that we want to go. And then there's the second thing, the specific policy changes respective to each piece. As I talked about, we've got some policies, specific policy changes accomplished in the school district, but there's so many other things that we can do. So much more we could do. But I think it's all centered around what Bob talked about, was that common vision. And that common vision needs to be drafted or crafted or approved at the Green Summit. And that's, I think, the best thing you can do to help me and Dave and Bob, is to try to help make that Green Summit a reality, and then make the proclamation from the summit, or the Magna Carta, so to speak, make that solid.
Very good. Well, first of all, Kevin, thank you so much. When I titled this event, this is post-election, and I entitled it New San Diego Green Leaders. And to me, Kevin embodies that ethos, because I happen to be someone who went to the San Onofre school board. I don't have children in school, but a friend of mine invited me, and I decided to go. I know you weren't here, but my family and myself have been adversely affected by living next door to Hanford. So, I went, and it's painful to go and listen to these things, but Kevin led that. Kevin was the leader on that board for that. So he, to me, is a New San Diego, you, sir, are our New San Diego Green Leader. Thank you so much for doing it. And let's figure out how to keep communicating around schools, because they have tremendous assets, as I indicated, and tremendous opportunities. And I also believe that when Kevin leads at school board, it then puts pressure on city, council, and county, if need be, and around the country and the state, because when they lead, so goes California. Others want to follow. So it's a highly leveraged place, in addition to the education that PM mentioned. So thank you.
Just to piggyback that comment, a year after we banned styrofoam lunch trays, LA Unified banned styrofoam lunch trays. And we're 18 million a year. They're like 200-300 million a year. Then last month, New York City schools banned styrofoam lunch trays. They're probably like a couple billion a year. And so, don't think that, a little tiny school board in San Diego can't stick it to the man. Thank you very much.
That was awesome.
Can we go home now?
Yes, we can. I want to thank you again for coming. I can't thank you enough. I'm also going to be sending a Survey Monkey to you. I need your help figuring out what to do next. I've indicated some ideas tonight, but please do, come back and answer that, and I'll figure out a way to put the right stuff in that we should be doing. And thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed it and also learned something. Welcome.